Hey, Doc.
Hey, Donnie.
In 30 seconds, describe what chiropractic is.
Can't be done. You know what? When people ask me that, they go, what do you do? And I always tell them, I go, look, I save lives through the power of the chiropractic adjustment. And you know why I tell them that?
Why?
Because you can't explain it in 30 seconds. And I usually go, what the heck are you talking about? And it starts a conversation. But here's the reality. 98% of the public have no clue what chiropractors do. And 2% knowing what we do, that's probably generous. So if somebody's listening to this video or watching this video right now, I'm going to tell you, hang out for a few minutes, because the information I'm going to share with you is going to put you in that 2%. And having this knowledge could save your life, or save the life of one of your family or friends. And I mean that quite literally, so it's very powerful stuff. I can't do it in 30 seconds, but I can do it in a few minutes. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I think that'll do.
All right, thanks. People have always told me, make up an elevator speech. You know, you got that 30 seconds in the elevator to tell people what you do. Can't be done. But let me start off this way. 3 things we have to agree on. Number 1, human body is self-healing. Can we agree with that?
Sure.
When you cut yourself shaving, you don't have to think, oh, I better remember to heal that later on, right? It'll heal itself.
Right.
Number 2, the body is self-regulating. So in other words, you don't have to think about your blood pressure right now, do you?
No.
You have to remember to breathe.
No.
You don't have to remember to have your heart beat. All these things are self-regulated in your body. So your body is self-healing and it's self-regulating. Okay, and the third thing I want you you already know this, but let's just establish some ground rules. What part of your body controls every other part of your body? Which system?
Nervous system.
Yes, you know the answers. Nervous system. Nervous system, of course, is made up of your brain. The main branch off your brain is your spinal cord that goes right through the center of your backbone. And then off that spinal cord come hundreds of thousands of nerves that connect to every part of your body. So if I want to move my hand, the thought starts up here, it goes down through my spinal column, comes out through my lower neck, goes to my hand, and I can move it. If I feel something hot, the information goes right back up the same way. We can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, more than just movement and pain is controlled by your nervous system. Everything is. Blood pressure, digestion, circulation, your thinking. You hear a joke and it's funny. Nervous system. Your sight, nervous system. There's no human experience that's not directly run through your nervous system. So from what you've heard, is it pretty important? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of obvious, huh?
It's an understatement.
Now, let me ask you this. The nerves control your heart up here in your brain. Nerves have to go down through your neck, come out and control your heart and your lungs. Well, those nerves come out right at the base of your neck here. Okay? So if a person was in an auto accident, or they had a fall, or they're sitting at a computer typing all day long, and they start getting some irritation in their lower neck. Okay? It happens all the time, right? People stiff necks. Well, that means those nerves down there are being compressed and irritated. And those nerves are going to the heart and lungs. Well, if those nerves are being irritated and compressed and irritated, I said that again. If they're being compressed and interfered with, is the heart going to work better or worse?
It's going to work worse.
Right. Are you going to breathe easier or harder?
Harder.
Because what controls breathing? What controls your heart?
All the nerves.
Exactly. So a chiropractor's job, in a nutshell, is to figure out if there's any irritation to your nervous system. Okay, and most likely it's caused when the nerves come out from your spine, your neck and your mid-back and your low back and your pelvis, because that's where these little openings are that can get compressed with fluid because it's a swollen joint and it squeezes that nerve. And it's not just one nerve, there's actually 300,000 fibers in each bundle that get squeezed and compressed. So some of the nerves tell you about pain, some of them control the heart, some of them control digestion. It just depends on which part of the bundle is being irritated to what type of symptom you might get. But the real danger is this. Only about 10% of your nervous system controls or tells you about pain. So you can have a problem in 90% of your nervous system and have absolutely no pain. You see? A full 80% of your nervous system has no sensory at all. You'd have no symptoms, but you could have a major problem, an irritated nerve that wasn't working at 100%. So the number one condition next to the common cold in mankind is low back pain. Do you know that?
I did not.
The nerves coming out right at your belt line, those are the nerves that control not only your low back and your legs, but they also control your colon and lower digestive tract. Number one cancer, colon cancer. Okay, maybe a correlation there. I might just be making this up, but you can look it up. So if the nerves in the low back are being compressed, people always think, oh yeah, I got a pinched nerve in my low back and it's causing muscle spasms. But that same bundle of nerves in the low back control the colon, bladder, reproductive organs. So you might get no pain in your low back, but if those nerves are compressed, it might end up as irritable bowel syndrome, or constipation, or Crohn's disease, diarrhea. All these are very common when that nerve bundle is being compressed. Also, if the nerve's going to the bladder problems, reproductive organs, menstrual cycle problems. I don't know a chiropractor that's been in practice for any length of time that hasn't had a lady that was infertile, could not get pregnant, adjust that low back, get the pressure off the nerves, and they get pregnant. Happens. I mean, we've had cases in our office, so I know firsthand. I just know every chiropractor I've ever talked to has had a case like that. Now, how many people with infertility go to the chiropractor and get their low back checked?
I'd say very few.
That's right. You see, we're usually the last resort. How many people with irritable bowel syndrome go right to the chiropractor and check their low back and the nerves out there?
Very few.
Very few. Where do they usually go?
The medical doctor.
And what do they get for treatment?
Medication.
That's right, drugs. And does the drug get in there and move the bone off the nerve and get the pressure off the nerve?
No.
So that the nerve works normally, so the colon works properly? No way. What happens? They cover up the symptom. And at the same time, these drugs are so toxic, they destroy the organs like the liver, the stomach, and the kidneys. You see, and over the course of time, that's what kills people, is all this toxicity over time. Shortens their life. So when we tell people, we go, look, find out about chiropractic, spread the word, save a life. People kind of smile because they don't think chiropractors save lives. But if we get people off of drugs and get their nervous system working at 100%, we save their lives every day in the office here. The trouble is, it's on the other end of their life. It's not like with the paddles, in the emergency room where they go, zzz, clear, and they bring the guy back to life like that. That's real dramatic. That makes great TV. Yeah, saved his life. Cool. We do that every day, but we put 10 years, 20 years on the other end of the life. Not quite so dramatic, but absolutely factual, absolutely true there. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So just think of this. When you think of chiropractic, don't think, cracking that low back to get rid of back pain. That's just a tiny splinter of what we do. Chiropractic is a primary healthcare profession. We're dealing with the nervous system, which controls which part of your body again?
All of it.
Everything. Every human experience through the nervous system, right?
Right.
So if we can get that irritation and interference away from the nerves, the body works at 100%, and the knowledge that heals your body is already there. We just have to unleash it. Make sense there?
Yeah. So Doc, how do I know if I have this nerve irritation?
Great question. Because like we talked about, 80% of the time, if it's in the 80% of your nervous system that has no feeling, you wouldn't know you have it. So we have some very high-tech scans we do to detect that irritation. Matter of fact, some of the technology we use is the same technology that's been certified by the Space Agency to be used by NASA on astronauts. Same technology that's used on Olympic gold medalists, Super Bowl MVPs, and of course our wonderful clients in our practice here. But the name of this condition, I should have mentioned it before, it's called a Vertebral Subluxation complex. Originally it was called a subluxation. And if you look up the roots of that word, what that means is a bone that's slightly out of place. Now we know after 100 years when when that name was coined, that it's a lot more complicated than that. There's actually 5 different components. I don't want to get too technical, but it's called a vertebral subluxation complex. And I want to show you something here about the mechanical aspect of it. Okay, normally your spine should be nice and mobile. Every level, every one of those joints in your neck and your back, all doing its own share of the work, just like this. Pretty simple model, right? Mm-hmm. God designed this model to last 120 years. Should not wear out. Let me show you the most common problem to the spine. Can you see how that area is not moving? Now what do you think might cause that area to stop moving? You have any ideas?
Misalignment?
Yeah, the misalignments, but what would cause it originally?
Oh, traumatic.
Yeah, trauma.
Trauma.
That's
yeah.
it exactly. Auto accidents, sports injuries, a tough delivery being born, the soft tissues were overstretched. Being at a desk, 8 hours a day in front of a computer, driving a car, driving a truck. There's 1,001 reasons why this area will stiffen up. Okay. Now when this area loses its mobility, can you see where the workload goes?
Yeah, the end 2 joints.
Right. These sections right here are now being overworked. They're trying to do their own work, plus they're trying to make up for the lost movement of the other area. So over time, it's these areas that are overworked that start to break down. And the first thing they do is, like any overworked joint, is they start to swell up and they can become inflamed. And like I said earlier, these joints are right next to that huge nerve bundle in your spine. So when these joints swell up, the swelling starts squeezing the nerve right next to it. And the first thing that happens when people feel pain is that nerve tells the muscles in the area to clamp down and guard the area. And you've probably heard of muscle spasms. That's what's happening. So the medical approach, what do you think the medical approach is to get rid of that?
Pain medication?
Exactly. Muscle relaxants, sleeping pills, and pain medication. So yeah, they're attacking the spasm, which is actually a good thing because the spasm is guarding that damaged area. You knock out the spasm, you actually allow the area to become more injured. So people that are chronically taking pain pills and anti-inflammatory drugs, it's like turning off the fire alarm without putting out the fire. That pain is there for a reason. There's a good reason for it because over time, those joints can't compensate anymore and they start to break down. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like on this little model here. This model shows us normal, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. This is one of the components of the vertebral subluxation complex. As that area wears out because of the overwork it's doing, this damage is permanent. We can't fix it. So the earlier we catch it, we can get it corrected 100%. And if you're not feeling it, because 80% of the nervous system you don't feel, right? People can get all the way over here and have almost no symptoms. And then one day they sneeze or cough. Bam, they go into spasm and hit the ground. And in their mind, where did it all start?
Right when they sneezed.
Yeah, yesterday, Doc, when I sneezed.
Yeah.
The reality is I take a picture of their spine and show them all these bone spurs and degenerated discs and muscle spasms. I go, no, this probably happened 20 years ago when you had that auto accident or that work injury or that sports injury, or it's been 20 years of doing heavy labor. But the symptoms didn't start until yesterday. And it blows their mind. And when I show them that they're permanently damaged and we can never really fix that, all we can do is patch it up and hopefully keep it from spreading and getting worse, they all say the same thing, is why didn't somebody tell me about this 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago? That's the reason for these videos and the questions we're doing. We get people in early, get them checked, ideally like you said the other day, is get them checked at birth and then check them out regularly as they live. Will extend their life 10, 15, 20 years without exaggeration. But you let that damage occur and over time it just gets worse and worse and worse, and by the time you feel it, damage has been done, and usually permanent damage. So the name of that condition again, do you remember it?
Subluxation.
That's right. More technically, vertebral subluxation complex. And you know what? This is going to sound crazy to you. There are still some critics of chiropractic that say it doesn't even exist. Now, you just being a lay person, have you ever had low back pain?
Sure.
Had your muscles tighten up because of it?
Yes, they did.
Does it seem outrageous that that nerve is being compressed?
Not at all.
No, it's simple. You don't have to be a neurologist or an orthopedic surgeon to know these things. It's self-evident. If you get the pressure off that nerve, which they're trying to do with drugs, the symptoms go away. But it wasn't a drug problem that gave you the symptoms, was it? It was a mechanical, physical problem. You either lifted something or you overworked it or you had poor posture. Something happened physically to cause damage in there. And to try to treat that chemically is crazy. The treatment has to be physical. Somebody has to physically go in there and gently get those joints moving again. And I'll end up with this last point. Usually when I tell people this, they go, that sounds really good, Doc. I'll stretch it out. I'll start doing yoga. And this is what happens when they do their yoga and their stretching. Does the problem go away?
No.
No, because the normal joints will compensate for that locked up area. You see? And if you really work hard at it, you'll actually speed up the wear and tear and hurt yourself. So many people, they have the best idea, they want to get into shape, and as soon as they start exercising, boom, all this stuff comes to the surface and shuts them down. My job as a chiropractor, and from outside the body, I can get right on the section that's locked up, localize that spot, and very gently work the movement back into it. You see, we get that moving again, takes all the pressure off the joint, the swelling goes down, pressure comes off the nerve, and then healing occurs. So the only reason we need chiropractors is that I can localize that specific joint in the specific direction it's locked up and very gently loosen it back up again. And there's no pill, drug, potion, or lotion that's going to do that. All right, my friend.
Cool, thanks,
That's
Doc.
it for now.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I know that was a little longer than 30 seconds, but we got the job done.
Yeah, thanks so much.